TV screen?
I don't know yet.
Is your house
It's
on
not showing
Porchfest?
full screen.
Oh, yeah.
Is your house on Porchfest?
Chris, how do you make that full screen?
No, it's not. I gotta try.
It's 3/4 screen.
So,
Is it the laptop over here?
I don't know, I don't know.
I think it's the laptop up there. Yeah, it is. I don't know, Mike, if you can.
No promises.
how many hats are they making you wear right now?
Just keep adding on.
There, no, there's half of it. There you go. Brian, can you hear me? Maxine?
Yep, I got you, Brian,
Okay.
there, he's,
Yep,
I can hear you.
okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the March 25th, 2024 Franklin Planning Board meeting. This meeting is audio and video recorded as well, and it's on Zoom, and the Zoom call-in number is 312-626-6799, and the meeting number is pound 96335-063182. Our first item of business, take care of general business first. This would be for 25 Forge Parkway for an endorsement. Brian, if you wanna, you could give us a quick update on this one. This was about signing, signature? Brian?
Mute.
Brian, can you hear us?
Sorry, I did hear you, but you didn't hear what I said, did you?
Oh,
So-
no, you were on mute. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, I know that now, sorry, thank you. Yeah, the plans are ready to sign. There are no other issues to my knowledge at the moment, so.
All right, I had one quick question. I know I can sign and Jen can sign. Is Jay eligible to sign this one as well? Or we have to wait for Beth to come back?
That's a good question. This is general business. I think that,
I don't think he was part of the whole process of this one, that's why.
okay.
It depends. Didn't this have two separate hearings?
Yeah, it had a
So it
few.
depends on the initial date for the second hearing.
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Why-
yeah,
why-
whoever
wanna
voted
just
to
make it
approve
that-
should be the ones.
You wanna just have, maybe just Jen and I sign, and then when Beth comes back in a couple days, cause she's out, I can have her sign.
Well, you have to, I believe you're taking a quick vote to sign the plans. Is that true or not?
Yeah, but I believe the
Before you
drawings.
actually,
Yeah, the plans are here to endorse as well, that's why I'm asking.
no, I understand that, but once they're approved, then you can endorse. I don't know whether or not, you have enough votes in front of you, because I can't see you right now, but,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just saw on Amy's letter of March 12th, she had noted that the planning board voted on February 26th to endorse the site plans for 25 Forge,
Yep.
but there were not enough members in the town council chambers to endorse it, so I think it's already been voted on to endorse, so I would imagine that, some of the members can sign tonight and when.
And then when
Correct.
Beth comes back, that's what I
Yeah,
was
I don't think you all have to sign at
anticipating.
the same time, so it's.
Thank
already been
you,
voted
Mike.
on.
That's
problem,
what I was just trying to confirm.
Yeah, it was in a memo.
Yeah.
Right, so
thank you.
I'll make a motion that two of the members, Jen and myself, will sign for 25 Forge Parkway, and Beth will sign when she comes back in a couple days. Do I hear a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And the next item of business would be a final Form H for 725 Union Street. And Brian, if you could give us a quick briefing on this one, please?
That would be Scott doing it.
Okay. Yeah, I meant my Brian too, but that's okay.
Different Brian.
Yeah, we're doing good. Yeah, the 725 I know about is, what I'd like to hear from is Beta on any remaining issues. And to begin with, if you don't mind, because I'm as you know, filling in and know about as little as you do on this issue, or
Okay.
probably less.
All right, I'll go to Matt. Matt, I see you there. Matt, if you could give us an overview of the balance of work that was done at the hotel?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were last before the board 2 weeks ago. Since that time, the contractor has addressed a number of the issues out there, including adding the no parking fire lane signs, fixed the riprap out there, added catch basin hoods to all the structures. They relocated the trees that were on the top of the infiltration berm as requested, and they actually put those over by the generator to provide additional screening. And they cut and spread the remnants of the erosion controls out there. So those are all the kind of smaller ticket items. There were 2 other issues that came up. One was the accessible route onto the site. If you recall, there wasn't an opposing ramp at the sidewalk adjacent to the hotel. So they've since blacked that crosswalk out, removed the detectable warning on that, and they've constructed a new accessible route that essentially goes from the front of the hotel entrance out to the sidewalk out there. In order to do that, they had to reconstruct the sidewalk on Union Street, which created a grade over 5%, so that became a ramp. So they have since added handrails on both sides of that. That has been updated since my initial report. I went out there today. The railings are located on both sides as required, so I think that issue is all set. And the only other thing was, as of the last meeting, they had 99 parking spaces striped where 100 were required. So what they did do is they added 1 additional space out in the rear of the site near the dumpster area. There really wasn't any other location that they could add it to the site. That was the best that they could do. We did notice it is quite tight to make that turning radius out there. It can be done, but it's really tight, and we just wanted to remind the board that during the initial approval process, there was discussion about allowing some valet parking in the rare occasions when the hotel was at full occupancy. So we defer to the board if they just want to allow that parking space to remain out there, or if they prefer just to have it blacked out and allow the 99 spaces to be striped.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jen.
Through the chair, I think what concerns me related to this matter is not so much the turning radius is extremely tight. Thank you for providing this diagram. It's more so I think visual conflict of the concrete of where the dumpster pad is, because when you're driving on that drive now, people need to go over that pad to make the turn to come back in order to get by that last spot. It feels like it would be a safer situation to eliminate that last spot and allow it to be 99 personally, to avoid, because people are just going to like hesitate and not even know if they can drive over that.
Anybody else?
That's all. Thanks.
I had the same
I don't think one
thoughts.
spot's gonna kill me.
Okay. Yeah, I actually had the same thought. I'd prefer not to have that access blocked, to tell you the truth, now that we see what it looks like, especially with the emergency purposes too. A fire truck had to turn that radius and there was a car there, he's not gonna make that corner. So if it's feasible, I hate to do it, but black that one out and then go back to the 99. I do appreciate you trying to make the 100, but it does conflict with the turning radius there, and we just, for what it's worth, and we didn't, I know we didn't approve the stack parking back then too. I know that was, one of the issues we had way back in the initial rendering, so we didn't want stack parking on that. Okay. So, I make a motion to approve the final Form H for 725 Union Street, with the exception of the one particular parking spot to be removed, so it's now 99, it'll be blacked out.
Second.
And all the handicap, right, everything's squared away, the guys did a good job cleaning all that up, so it looks good, nice job cleaning it up. Anybody have any other questions? If not, make a motion, and do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So you're all set, thank you. All right, our next item of business would be for 15 Liberty Way, and this is a continued public hearing. If anybody here, or anybody in Zoom? No, it's not, I just wanna know who's out there. Anybody for 15 Liberty Way out there in Zoom land? If not, Brian, can I,
I don't see anyone, Greg.
okay. So,
Hi, Greg. Maybe I can just give you an input, a little bit of input on it, and then you can decide what you want to do.
thank you.
Amy believed that you would be continuing 15 Liberty Way. The revised plans were submitted last Wednesday. Didn't give us a lot of time to do anything with it before she went on vacation, or the end of the week came very quickly, obviously. They also still owe the Conservation Commission some revised plans. So I would recommend continuing the hearing.
So do you wanna make a recommendation that we continue it till,
April
go to
22nd was
22nd?
what Amy had said, yeah.
the
Yeah.
22nd?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So make a motion to continue 15 Liberty Way till April 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Our next item of business is a continued public hearing, initial public hearing for Uncas Ave. This is a special permit site plan application. If I could go to you, Brian, first, please, for,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
yep, go ahead, Mark.
This is Mark. At the recommendation of the Ethics Commission, I have to recuse myself because I live in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Brian, if you want to give us a briefing, please?
Certainly. See what I can do here with this. Thank you. So Uncas Ave, as you likely know, the applicant came previously for to have 3 family units on a couple of different lots. You did approve that. They are now back in front of you, and they're requesting to construct 3 family units on 7 lots. And a special permit is required under Section 195, Attachment 7, for 3 units as a multifamily, but 3 family. We just changed that last year. So I think I'd like to hear from others. I know that engineering didn't have much on that, I don't believe. And I don't believe we went through a beta review, but I may not be correct on that.
All right, thank you, Brian. I'll go to Mike. Mike, Department of Public Works.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. As Brian said, this was a previously approved project for nine lots with duplexes, and recently they came in for a change for triplexes on lots 1 and 2. So now they're in front of you for the triplexes on the remaining lots, going from duplexes to triplexes. When we reviewed everything for the first 2 lots, when they went to triplexes, we looked at the site overall, and the original design had accommodated enough drainage capacity to accommodate the triplexes here. So we didn't have any issues from that standpoint. I believe the representative from the applicant's here too, if they want to add more. We didn't have any issues with the proposal.
Okay. I didn't have anything from Beta. Did Gary look at this or Matt? You know? if they
It
had
would have
any
been
issues?
Gary, I think.
Mr.
Gary?
Chairman, I can provide some insight on this, Mr. Chairman.
Please
So,
do.
so Beta's review of this was fairly limited. We had some very basic comments early on sort of the layout, which they resolved, and I think the primary focus from the board for Beta to look into was the traffic aspects of it. So in similar fashion that Mike noted regarding the entire development from a drainage perspective, we looked at the increased traffic for all of the lots, not just the ones that were initially approved at the last time they were before the board. So our findings essentially indicated that we didn't anticipate there to be any traffic issues from going from 2-family to 3 families. So we don't have any additional information. That's a summary of our previous review.
Thank you, Matt. I'll go to the board. Does anybody have any comments, questions? Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick refresh. This was originally 2 duplex units, and then you came for us for lots 1 and 2 for triplexes. I don't recall. Why did we not look at all 9 units at that time?
For the board, Rob Truex of GLM Engineering Consultants. I think the reason was we weren't sure what the board's feeling was going to be on the project. So rather than file them all at once, we figured we'd file a couple at once and then go through the process. And once we got through that process, we ended up looking at the project as a whole anyway. You know, for the first 2 units, we did the traffic study based on the entire site. We did the stormwater update based on the entire site. So I think it was more just it was a brand new bylaw. We just wanted to see where it was going to go. We weren't sure how it would pan out. So I think it was more of a test the waters type of thing. And now that we've done it, we wanted to get right back in here while it's fresh in everyone's mind, so we don't come back a year later and everyone says, well, what did we do a year ago? So we figured we'd just follow right up with the rest of the lots.
Okay. And if, not sure what the board's gonna decide or not decide and where we're at and everything, but obviously the duplexes are still an approved project. That's a fallback position, so to speak. Yes,
Correct.
okay. No further questions from you, Mr. Chairman?
I just had a couple but before I go to the audience. Looking at the upsize of the amount of units, where we're gonna be 27 total, originally it was 18. I'd like to see some affordable units placed in here, at least 3, if it's feasible, of it. All the surrounding areas and all the surrounding buildings and complexes that are coming up in front of us are all given affordable units part of their projects, and I think this one would be a good portion of it as well, because it's within a half a mile of the MBTA, and we fall under that regulation from the state as well. I think it would be beneficial for the town, because I know we're still looking for affordable units.
With approximately 10%.
Yeah, yeah, where you jumped it up from, 1827, I think it'd be fair, to try to get some affordable units in there.
I can't authorize that, obviously.
Correct,
We'll
but-
have to
Yep.
continue up,
Yep.
speak with the applicant on that.
Yeah, okay, and I know we already kinda went through all the logistics of it, the drainage and whatnot. I know the subdivision's been sitting idle for a little while. I do see some people in the audience, I'm sure they're gonna have some questions, but, that was really my only big one. I know the traffic was a little bit of an issue, but I understand that got resolved and whatnot, so now it's just a matter of, fine tuning it. So let's go to the public, if anybody has any questions or comment. If you just wanna approach the mic and give your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Donna Paradise. I live at 9 Cook Street. I'm the closest abutter on the northwest side over by Hill Ave. I'd like to talk about 2 things today. The first one, once again, is traffic. Where I live, it's about equidistant if I went up the hill by Uncas to 140 as it is to go around Lewis to 140. In the 30-plus years I've lived here, I probably go the Uncas route once or twice a year because it's challenging and it feels unsafe to me. Taking a right at that intersection is a little easier, but you can't see the cars coming from King Street because the large building there blocks the view. There's a right on red, so someone could be turning toward you, whether it's red or green. You can pretty much never take a left. There's always cars waiting there at the red light. There's only room for 2 or maybe 3 cars there on the left side. So that brings us to the Lewis Street route. Coming out of the development, you would take a right going over a blind hill. Neither side can see an oncoming car due to the steepness of the hill. Then you take a sharp right onto a narrow section of road where two cars coming in opposite directions cannot pass each other. Somebody has to back up, stop, back up to get through that section. I've done it myself in those couple of times a year. It widens up after a couple of houses. Obviously, neither of these routes are optimal. When you take into consideration the apartments near Big Y, the ones being built across from Honeydew, the 9 more proposed next to those, what does that do to our little neighborhood, which is already a cut through to Rhode Island? The second thing I want to discuss is water. There was a lot of fill brought in to be able to construct the road and put in the utilities. The ground level there is much higher than the abutting properties on the northeast side. I have a picture here taken from my yard today to show you how much higher the new development is in comparison to the neighborhood. You can see how high the gray storage container sits on the edge of the development road. I'll get those to you in a minute. Given there will be bigger buildings and more driveways and less permeable area, I'd like some assurance that the water at the side toward Hill Ave will be handled with an official plan and some sort of drain. While I understand that the retention pond and system has enough capacity and may fulfill their land calculations, I don't have faith that they've considered the slope of the land towards our house. We and many of our neighbors get water in our basements, which comes up from the ground. Since the bottom of the retention pond is at the same level as my yard, it's already contributing to the local groundwater problem. When we also have to deal with water coming down the hill, that will be an additional burden on the neighborhood homeowners. Let me just give you the picture so you can see what I was talking about with the storage unit and how high that is as compared to the ground. I just have
Rob, you wanna respond?
If I could see one of the pictures?
Oh.
Not really sure.
how high the storage container unit is, which is on the road, as compared to the yard where I'm taking the picture.
Sure.
Elevation is about 20 feet.
So do you wanna go through the, I'll let him respond first and then do you wanna respond back to the drainage in the subdivision drainage and
I
how you
will.
capture it all as well?
So, before the site was developed, everything drained surface via right to these folks' yards. There was actually a small isolated outbreak of water that used to come down through the site, drain into their backyards. Since then, we have put the retention basin in. The retention basin, as you know, I have to recharge the groundwater. I can't just say I'm not gonna put it back in the ground. So we are recharging it. However, we took and diverted all the water that went in that direction, put it into the basin. And the overflow for that basin now, we had run a culvert out to,
Crocker Ave.
what is it, Crocker Ave?
Crocker Ave.
Thank you. Crocker Ave, and it discharges down there, down the street. So that was all done, so we wouldn't be discharging water into the neighbors' yards. You know, that was pretty sizable improvement that went on for the off-site drainage. We did put some, actually added some drainage to Crocker Ave on the way through. So we don't discharge towards the neighbors. I mean, I can't stop the groundwater from coming in their basements. They had that issue for a long time. It's not gonna go away because of the project. We do have to put the groundwater back in the ground, and when you come down, I will say that when you get down near their houses, that's a sand and gravel area underneath the ground, and it does have a high water table, but it recharges well. I mean, right now, I'm sure they're pumping. The water tables are very high this year. It's probably been higher than I've seen it in many years. So,
Well, you haven't done a study of what my yard is. You don't know that it's sand and gravel. You have no idea.
I'm going by what I see on
Yeah.
soil maps in the
Yeah.
area, general area. I have, you know, there's soil maps out there, you know, that we use to study the areas, and that's what we look at.
Well, you did road work down there too, so you encountered what was out.
We've dug up Crocker, we dug in the
Yeah, so
area, we
you
dug
see
down
what's
for
in
the,
the
we
area.
did test pits with the town engineer back in the, before we did the design, all down along where the drainage basin is. We know what was in that area close to their property lines.
Mike, your thoughts if you know,
With the test pits that were done with the previous town engineer, the original project goes way, way back. But like we said, when it was originally designed, it was a larger plan than what was approved as far as the 9 duplexes, but it was large enough that it also was able to contain the 9 triplexes if that was approved, so that the original drainage system that was designed had enough capacity for that. Groundwater levels are extremely high right now. We've had a lot of rain over the weekend. We have a number of storms all winter long, so it's been an issue all through town, high groundwater issues. Over the past 5-10 years, it's been getting worse, so.
okay, good. You had a comment, question? If you just approach the mic, name and address, please.
Name and address, Rainy Paradise, 9 Cook Street. 2 questions. First question is the pond a retention pond or a detention pond? That would be the first question, because I just placed a retention pond on my property at work. And that has an 8-foot pit going right down the middle with pipes to handle the overflow. This pond has no overflow unless it's going into the culvert, like you said, on Crocker. Second question is, after 10 years, doesn't this whole project have to be reapproved for the drainage? It's been over 10 years since this road has gone in. Just a question.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm not
wondering.
aware of that. You want to answer the question on the
Sure.
first one?
So the Basin Act's kind of twofold. In the smaller storms, it's recharging the water back into the ground. And anything larger, when we have a 100-year event, it has an overflow. So there is a structure at the far end with a culvert leading out to Crocker Ave. So there is a weir or a pipe opening that structure, and then there's a larger pipe that takes it out down Crocker Ave. So it kind of acts as both. Under the smaller storms, yeah, it recharges it, and then when we have the larger storms, it does have an overflow.
And that's part of the work that went down Crocker Ave to alleviate some of
That's
the
the
problem, because
overflow.
it's probably sheet flowing right now too.
Correct.
It's just, you're not trapping it yet, okay. Anybody else in the audience have a comment, question? Oh, go ahead, just approach the mic, please. Your name and address.
Catherine Tower, 54 King Street. Been here a couple of times. I again have questions about the drainage. Last time I was here, I mentioned the large pond behind my house. It was kind of not supposed to be there. It's there again today. There is a large body of water behind my house. I mean, yes, we had rain on Saturday, but I would just expect that if the drainage system's working as it should be, that,
It's not yet.
so,
Is that just the lot that was cleared and it's still
the lot is not cleared.
So the
puddling?
water's puddling
It's
in the.
not in the cleared
in the
lot.
yard.
It's not cleared.
It's not
It's
cleared
a-
lot.
They've created, because they brought the road up and built up the lots out front,
Okay.
they've created a low spot in the back of that lot towards her property. So when they put the houses in, they'll grade and that water will be able to sheet flow to the street.
Correct, okay.
My other question is regarding the comment on the special permit applications, which reads that there are no homes within sight or accessible from the Uncas Ave cul-de-sac. I can see my neighbor's dog from my backyard across the cul-de-sac. So if I can see their house, they can see my house, and we're gonna be able to see every house in between. So I don't know, am I supposed to just ignore them from September to May? And just, you know, are we going on the basis that I don't have to look at their houses from when the trees are full? Because all those properties are gonna back up to my backyard. I am the closest abutter to the project on the King side, street side. I can see the dumpster from my porch, the storage unit. I can see the houses on the other side of the property from my bathroom in my house. So how can these applications say that there's nothing accessible or in sight of this project?
I'm not sure where that's written.
On every application, it is item D, where it speaks to the neighborhood of the development.
I had mentioned that when they developed, when they applied for the first 2, I mentioned that also.
Okay. Is that it? Just-
That's part of your
that's-
application.
That's part of the special
just
permit
something we wrote.
application, yeah.
Right, but when you fill out the application and you say nothing's visible,
And nothing's accessible.
then you think
No.
nothing's visible. But
You
it
can
is.
walk 20 feet and be in my backyard. There's no,
This is just part of the special criteria.
right, I'm just
of the
saying,
special
but
permit.
there is no fencing, there is no deterrence from anyone to walk into my backyard.
Okay.
And now I'm gonna be dealing with all these patios facing my backyard. You don't think people are gonna have back lights? I can see the lights coming to my yard from across the other side of the cul-de-sac. So I'm gonna be impeded on with light at night. I'm gonna be impeded on the fact that my garden's in my backyard and I'm gonna have a building there, I'm not gonna get the same sunlight. So this does impact my living ability in my house.
Okay. How far away, house to house are you?
I don't know the specific
Like,
distance.
if you, can you,
It's over 100 feet.
yeah,
I
okay.
bet there's
It's quite a
probably
bit,
100.
because those, you probably have, what, 30
We have
foot
probably about a
rear
100-foot 80-foot setback in the rear yards on that side.
Okay,
And
This is just to give you a quick idea. Her house is up here. Which one are you?
yeah, you're elevated,
Yeah, right here. So this is her right here.
yeah.
So you got the 40-foot right of way.
Yep.
And then you have probably another, I don't know, 100 feet.
Yep. Okay.
From there.
But I can see the houses
Yep.
over here.
But I can see my house is off of Maple Street too, so.
But I'm just saying, like, if that's, like, that shouldn't be in something that's signed and put on record for the project if it's not true.
But y'all,
It's false information on a signed document.
it's actually not, but that's okay. So,
Right.
we'll move forward.
My next thing
Go ahead.
is the traffic. So I believe these are all gonna be 2-bedroom units.
That's what we're proposing
That's what
right
they were
Okay.
proposing, yep.
So that's 54 bedrooms. You're not going to have people living in 2-bedroom units, condos that are for sale, they're not for rent, they're for sale, so you're gonna have a mortgage. They're not gonna be $300,000, that's not what a townhouse is going for in Franklin. You're telling me that during the traffic study that was done for this project, says there's gonna be 8 cars during peak AM and 12 cars during peak PM, leaving or exiting, entering or leaving this project. As we mentioned before, the streets that were done, that were named in the traffic study are not the main roads used for that neighborhood. So I'm proposing that for this to move forward, that they redo a traffic study. The data in the traffic study is also 2 years old at this point. We know that traffic has increased in the last few years with everyone going back to work, back to the office. So data from 2022, in my opinion, is not relevant to 2024. The other item there is that the complex across from Honeydew is 35 units. 31 of them are 1-bedrooms and 4 of them are 2-bedrooms. The traffic study done for that project has an estimated 34 cars during peak volume in the morning and 36 in the afternoon. Comparable to size, why is there such a traffic difference?
Okay. Matt?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would have to ask our traffic engineers for the specifics on that. I assume it has something to deal with the land use code of the type of development, but
Same
I am
land use
not
code is used in both
engineer.
reports.
Okay. But I'm not a traffic engineer, so I can't provide insight to that. We can certainly have our traffic engineer present to follow up on this in the future if needed.
In that last traffic report was just accounted for just recently, like within the last 6 months,
Yes.
based on the Honeydew, the one across from Honeydew and the ones down the street. So it does encapsulate all the adjoining properties.
Right, I'm just
that are
saying,
being-
project specific.
Specific, it was taken to all the projects in the area.
New counts too.
Correct.
They did new counts.
Correct.
But-
So if we can
Traffic
just do a
counts.
little more looking into that for backup.
Yeah,
27 units, 8
Okay.
cars versus 35 units, 34 cars. That's a big difference.
And they're gonna look into it. Plus, a lot
Especially
of these,
because,
a lot of these are gonna be walkable now too, don't forget. That was the intention of like the MBTA, that this is one of the things that the MBTA is pushing on the towns in
I
the state,
understand.
that you have something, they put the sidewalks in so you can walk, so it's gonna be a little bit more pedestrian friendly too. So you gotta account
that's
for
the
that
long
as
walk
well.
to come down Uncas and back up King Street.
No, they'll walk
or-
right out to 140.
But
They'll
even
walk
to
up.
walk, I mean, if you wanna walk downtown
Yeah.
to the train
They
station,
can
that's a
walk, they
decent
can
walk.
walk the train station, people do it all the time.
So-
They did
It's not the
install
end of the, or they
sidewalk.
ride their bike or whatever, yeah. But
So to that point,
Jen walks a lot, he walks
I
a lot,
walk
I
a
know.
lot too, but I
Yeah.
walk my dog.
Well, no, he doesn't walk much now, but,
To that point, if there is no, like, reduction on the units, if we don't go back to a duplex fallback plan, my request as a neighboring to the unit would be that the builder give the town money to upgrade the crosswalks on King Street. The crosswalk at King Street in summer is extremely dangerous. I can stand there and watch 15 to 20 cars go by me, not at speed limit, when I attempt to cross that street. So I would propose that if agreeable, they would pay to put in like the flashing lights or a button, something that makes it safer to cross King Street.
Mike, if you wanna chime on that, that's part of State Road, State
Um,
Highway piece there.
King Street at Summer, I think the section there, that's all town-owned
That one is
roadways,
town?
that's not state.
Okay.
I haven't looked at the crosswalk specifically myself to know, but,
Well, offside, but-
pedestrian, we put a number of the pedestrian push buttons, the, rectangular rapid flashing beacons in.
Yeah, we have,
Put
high-
those in
we
there.
have, high- we have neon yellow signs, they don't
Okay.
work.
Mr. Chairman, if I can
Sure.
just comment on that, the applicant did build a new sidewalk from the project down to Route 140
They did.
along Uncas. That was all done by the developer.
Correct.
Remember, if you remember, we put in a new water line,
Yep.
they put in new sidewalk, new curbing, repaved the whole road.
Yep.
That was all done by the developer for off-site improvements, as well as some other water line loopings that went out to Crocker Ave. So there were a lot of
Correct.
off-site improvements done for this project based on some of the things she's stating.
Yep, no, I remember.
And I think it was, as you stated, when this project first went through, and even before all the MBTA stuff came out, it was always, at one point it was an over 55, and it was anticipated that there would be a lot of walking from this project, and that's why that sidewalk was installed and asked to be installed. So that was all part of that, and I just reiterate what you've said, that this is a area downtown that people will walk up to the store.
Okay, and they'll walk right to Davita's Market, I mean, literally right there.
Right.
Okay, so if you could just look into the calculations of the.
I'll ask the traffic consultant
And
to
then,
give a quick
defer back to
update.
them about the 3 units, if they could,
I will do that.
all right? And, do you have one more
Through the
question?
chair, yeah, just, I just genuinely don't know, Brian, considering the change in, time or duration from the original approval to now and changes in, requirements related to stormwater, is the applicant, or can we ask the applicant, to recalculate or the stormwater to today's standards, or has that
That's
already been done?
That's been
Alright,
done.
alright,
Yep.
just double checking, cause that was one of the questions that were asked, so making sure that that's checked off, okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
Chris?
Mr. Chairman, yes, driven the area several times, and I just think I have similar concerns to the Ledge Street access, the tightness of coming back through that neighborhood. And, if 18 units was okay in 2014 and the big jump to 27 seems substantial, I'm less inclined to be okay with that, I think, at this point.
Okay, Jay?
I got nothing.
Okay. Mark? Oh,
Can I?
sure, just approach the mic and just give your name and address, please.
Donna Colaci, 52 King. I just have a question about the end of their property and the end of mine. So I am a neighbor of Kate's, and I have a chain link fence that surrounds my yard. But when we initially started this 10 years ago, I don't know if you remember, but there was going to be a tree line left in place on the perimeter of this whole complex. And then there would be 100 feet, I was told, sort of right away, I think you just called it, or a clearance. And so we were told, really, for 150 feet, there wouldn't be anything that I would actually see. And and the tree line would help protect our properties. I'm wondering if that, I've been to as many of these, but I haven't heard us ever talk about the perimeter. And I think the walkway is gone. There was also going to be like a place to walk around the whole. This was when we were talking 9 individual units and 2 duplexes. This is a long time ago. But it was the same people. So is there something designed for the perimeter that I don't see on here to protect us, kind of?
I don't, I don't recall us doing a buffer strip or anything around the perimeter. Other than keeping the houses back like they are on the plan, I don't recall anything like that.
And you mentioned 40-foot right-of-way before, so does that mean the difference between the end of their property and ours? What's that?
There is a, paper street, I think it was, at that time, it was called Macaroni Street. And
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's still there, and we're not clearing anything on that, and it is kind of a buffer. I think technically each side owns the center line, because
Yep.
it's like a paper street.
It being said.
So I actually my property runs into this a little bit.
And that's fine, yep, and you
So how
can.
much is gonna
Your
be
fence,
here?
I think, is this you?
Yeah, that's me.
So this is your fence right down the middle of that, Macaroni, so none of that's gonna get cleared.
What about how far in though?
About another 100 feet to the houses, that's what we're saying, so you got about 140, well, actually to your fence, about 120, because you're halfway into the right of way, which is fine, you own that, technically.
Well, good, I'll put something
Part of
out
the-
there.
Yeah, part of the old.
Okay, thank you.
Part of the old
Wall.
paper road, okay. All right,
I don't think anyone's gonna take it.
yeah, well, not now then, it's ledge, nobody wants it. All right, so, I guess there's a couple things you gotta take care of, and we'll make this a continuation. You think you'll have enough time for the next meeting, or do you wanna push it to the following?
I think we can come to the next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, because they want to file for building permits this spring,
yep,
get going, so they're anxious to get back in there.
okay. And it'd be nice to get it cleaned up at least. So I make a motion to continue, Uncas, Ave until, April 8th. Do I hear a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I just ask a sort of
What?
procedural question?
Sure.
So the things that we have said today in previous meetings, is that, we don't have to say it again next time, right?
No,
It's
no,
on the
it's all
record.
taken into
Okay.
consideration,
Thank
yep.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go to our next item of business, which would be for a public hearing for 555 King Street. This is just a site plan modification. And if you could just approach the mic and introduce yourselves, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Edward Cannon, on behalf of the applicant, Marcus Partners, along with Josh Berman from Marcus Partners.
Thank you. Brian, I guess I'll go to you real quick, if you could do a quick run-through, please.
Certainly, certainly. You've had, the board had this before you for a good long period of time as a 555 King Street. You approved a distribution facility at that time. The applicant is coming back for a special permit to increase the height, the maximum height from 40 feet to 43 feet, I believe. I believe that's what we're looking at here. Yes, and so the applicant, therefore, a special permit to exceed the 40 feet. I just want to note that the applicant would be required, because this is a business zone, would be required to go to the Design Review Commission. Even though it's not, the appearance of the building will likely change a lot, they should be going there. And then the commission should provide recommendation to the board on the appearance of the structure. The applicant should indicate on the special permit findings, the special permit use section of the zoning bylaw. Other than that, I have nothing else to really discuss on the issue, really. So it's a fairly simple matter. Whether or not you approve or disapprove is another issue.
Okay, thank you. We could approve with condition of design review, or you want them to go to design review, then come back, Brian? If that being said.
Well, I think you really be, in reality, I would recommend, they would submit the design review application, get on the next possible
Yep,
meeting, and, hopefully you can have it by the next time.
okay. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, would you say it was like 2.5 feet, I believe? It was just a matter of trying to get the interior clear, if that's what I'm not mistaken,
correct.
2.5 to 3 feet thereabouts. Okay. Okay, I'll just go to the board first. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Through the chair, the application mentions going from 40 to 43, but the dimensions I'm seeing on the exterior elevations are 42 and a half and 41 and a half. So it's minor, but I'm just wondering what the inconsistencies are in the overall dimensions on the exterior elevation.
Sure, thank you. Correct, the top of the building height is 42 and a half. We just had 6 inches for construction tolerance.
Okay.
But the top of the building, it's actually the parapet would be
Yeah.
42 and a half, so it's really 2.5 feet.
Okay, thanks.
Chris?
No questions, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Mark?
No questions.
Okay. Anybody in the audience? Comments, questions? Okay, so this is just, so let's do this. We're gonna continue this. When would be the next, design review meeting, Mark? Brian?
Through the chair, can we approve on the condition that
Well, that's what
design
I'm-
review
yeah.
approves rather than
That's-
have them
I
come
feel like
back?
we
and-
can do that.
Yeah,
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
am.
such a mild
Yeah.
modification.
Yeah.
I think we can do that.
Okay.
I would.
Brian, you okay with that? I would just make a motion that we'll approve the slight change in providing, design review
Contingent on?
is contingent upon that. That way they don't have to come back. It's just, I feel like we're just wasting time.
It's up to you, that's
Okay.
fine. I know the next, design review meeting would be on the 9th of April, and your next meeting is the 8th of April, so,
All right.
it's either that you continue to the 22nd of April, or you, as you proposed, approve the change contingent upon any, major problem that the, design review may have.
Okay, so do I hear a motion?
This is a
Motion to approve the change contingent
Special-
upon
Design review,
design review.
no issues, and we'll be all set
yeah.
With
Could
with the
we have to.
change. I wanna make sure these drawings go in for record as well.
Yeah. Second on the approval of the change. So all in favor on that.
Yeah, okay.
But then this is a special
could I-
permit, so we need to, if we're gonna.
This,
Go ahead, Brian.
yeah, you are going to, it is a permit, special permit and approval, so you do need to go through your conditions
Yep,
and vote individually, obviously, on everything.
yep.
Okay.
That was gonna be the next,
You have a
thing.
list of
Do we
conditions?
need to, close the public hearing first?
I just wanna see if we have a list of conditions.
I
So-
have them in front of me.
Oh, you do, okay.
Mhm.
So yes, so make a motion to close public hearing.
If I may,
Well-
Mr. Chairman, just before
sorry.
you close, while we're here, we would respectfully request a 2-year extension on the underlying special permit, just so the applicant can complete construction, which hasn't been done yet, which hasn't been started yet, right? So,
Correct.
just like the
I
ability.
don't have an issue. Chris, no problem with that?
No, when was the initial, permit granted?
I think it expires in October of '24, so it was
Mhm.
October 22.
So we'll make that part of the condition too, just the extension of it as well, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so make a motion to close the, public hearing on 555 King Street on the site plan modification. There's a
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now I'll make a motion to approve the site change, or the building change, for 555 King Street, based on, design review approval, and make sure the drawings that we have go in for record, that was submitted tonight, showing the 2.5-foot change in the building.
Second.
Go from there.
And an extension of the
In the
permit
extension of the
for 2
permit
additional
for
years.
2 years, correct. All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we
Aye.
also have to do a special vote on, roll call.
Yep. So, special permits shall be granted by the special permit granting authority only upon its written determination that the proposed use will not have adverse effects which overbalance its beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or the town in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to that site. This determination is in addition to the following findings which we're voting on. So this proposed project addresses or is consistent with the neighborhood or town need. So Chris Stickney,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Vehicular traffic flow, access and parking and pedestrian safely are properly addressed. Chris Stickney,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Public roadways, drainage, utilities, and other infrastructure are adequate or will be upgraded to accommodate development. Chris Stickney,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Neighborhood character and social structure will not be negatively impacted. Chris Stickney,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Project will not destroy or cause substantial damage to any environmentally significant natural resource, habitat, or feature, or if it will, propose mitigation, remediation, replication, or compensatory measures are adequate. Chris Stickney,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Number, height, bulk, location, and siting of buildings and structures will not result in abutting properties being deprived of light or fresh air circulation or being exposed to flooding or subjected to excessive noise, odor, light, vibrations, or airborne particulates. Chris Stickney,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. And lastly, water consumption and sewer use taking into consideration current and projected future local water supply and demand and wastewater treatment capacity will not be excessive. Chris Stickney,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes.
I think we have the last one too.
Oh,
The proposed use will.
you have it. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Lastly, the proposed use will not have adverse effects which overbalance its beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or the town in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to that site. Chris Stickney,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes.
So you're all set, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay. And then our last item of business would be for the continuation of public hearing for Maplegate, Solar South. Brian, you there?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. The Maplegate South project, been here in front of us for a while. The fire department provided a review just today. They just submitted their review, which you will not likely have seen yet.
Nope.
The Conservation Commission is still reviewing the plans.
Okay.
Other than that, I have no comment at the moment, other than I'm wondering if the engineering department or Beta has comment themselves right now.
Okay, so based on that, you wanna just, introduce yourself, for the record, please, and sure to give us, I know you were gonna come back with a brief update one more
Yep.
time or thereabouts, with the Conservation Commission. Obviously, you didn't see fire department letter, neither have we, so that's just an additional piece of information that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Greg DeBona with Polar Engineering. Good to see everybody again. Yeah, we were making some, I think, some good strides to get towards where we want to be. Unfortunately, we were not able to get the letter we were looking for from the fire chief before tonight's meeting. I heard there was a letter that just came out. I personally haven't seen it yet, but I think we have an understanding of where it is because we've had a lot of conversations over the past week with Deputy Fire Chief as well as the Fire Chief from earlier today. So we're getting really close. There was some discussions about the difference between our main access drive and then also the ability to still have emergency access on the other drives that feed the site. And I think maybe that was some of the confusion that we didn't make clear at prior meetings. So just to clarify for everybody here, we are still using the Maplegate Country Club access point, which is the north project, as our primary and only access for things like maintenance, construction, et cetera. However, there are other access points that do service the golf course that would be still available for emergency access, including the access through the other solar property, which is the LMP property. And then there's also an access through the New England Power easement. So I believe that one of the comments that will come out just has to do with maybe making sure that that access is still clear and accessible. And that's something we're gonna continue to work with the fire chief to make sure that that is resolved accordingly. So I'm hopeful that by the time we come back for the next meeting, we'll have that letter resolved. We did issue out a response, a letter came out from our team from Brown Legal on March 18th, and that letter directly related to the planning department's letter of March 6th. So I think we clarified some of those open items, also provided copies of the decommissioning plan, acknowledged the bond that we would have to provide prior to construction, which we are all comfortable with all those conditions as well. We did also receive the latest beta review letter, which was dated March 12th. And we turned around a response as quickly as we could. It still took us about a week because we still had some adjustments to be made on the plan, some additional drainage calculations to provide. We didn't get that out until Friday, so we just got that out. I can certainly spend some time to go through the changes, but I think the reality is we're all gonna just wait for Beta to issue a clean letter, which I do believe is coming soon. So that's kind of where we are as far as the letters go. Conservation Commission, we have another meeting coming up on the 4th. I believe we are clear with any comments from Conservation Commission. We're clear with the Beta review comments from Conservation Commission. What we were waiting on was really, they were looking for the same thing. They were looking for a letter from the fire chief regarding just confirmation of access and comfortness of our main access drive, but also where the emergency access points would be. So those were the big ticket items for us. And again, I believe we feel like we are getting very close, but unfortunately we weren't able to get you guys everything we needed to kind of get to the resolution tonight.
Okay, good, thank you. Anybody have any comments, questions? Chris?
Just for my clarification, looking at the plan, I see obviously highlighted the road that you're gonna be inputting through the north parcel.
Yes, sir.
It just to confirm, it looks like, and this is terrible because you're over there, the extension, this is the existing roadway
That's
that
correct.
goes to Maplegate, it's just not as highlighted. Okay.
That's correct. Yep. So the existing road, the gate that's there, the same way you would come in and out of the golf course, that's all gonna stay the same.
Great.
Okay. I know we spoke utilizing parcel 2.
That's right.
What transpired out of that situation?
So I think, yeah, and actually Peter
Yeah,
will
I
come
know,
up.
I know it's been a bit of a
Yeah.
juggle with that one there, and I know, and I have, my second question would be about the Bellingham situation, but let's take care of the first one first, if you could. If you want to just introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Good evening, Attorney Peter Brown from Brown Legal, on behalf of the property owner and the applicant. So the update on parcel 2, so what we did through the north is we've said we can ensure that we will not expand the solar arrays onto parcel 2. We would keep it as open space. There was a discussion with Mr. Helen, as well as a willingness from our side, is that if the town of Franklin could be able to utilize that property for recreational, a dog park, a walking space, a walking loop, we thought that'd be a wonderful thing. And so we've talked about that. When we did the north approval, though, we said we're limited in what we could go and do. We can restrain ourselves from developing and utilizing that property, which we agreed to do. And we're totally amenable to a condition that would preclude that. The other parts of trying to make that a reality are in the control of others. And those two others are, we would need access through LMP properties. We have an easement that allows us to go and access that property. When I say us, I'm referring to the current golf course or later the applicant who's going to go and acquire the property. The law does not allow us to grant that easement to others. So we would if we could, we don't have that legal authority. So one, we would need permission from LNP, but more importantly, our access is through Bellingham. And as we went through Bellingham Planning Board for the north, they made it very clear to us that this is something that they don't want. And they are very concerned about it. They didn't want to add traffic, and they were really not interested in it, and they were quite anti as it related to this idea. So it's something that's there. It's something that could exist in the future. We immediately advised Mr. Helen of it. I know he has a relationship with Mr. Frayne. There could be things and opportunities that happen in the future, and if they do, you will have a partner with us to go and achieve them. And we hope they do happen, because we think it'd be a nice thing, and we think it's a nice goal, and we'd like to go and be a part of it. But we can't make something happen that's outside of our control. And so the planner asked us to go and explain that in writing, and we submitted that last week as well as that history. So that's where parcel 2 stands. Bottom line, it's not being developed, it's staying as open space, and if something can be put together with these other partners, we're here to help.
Yeah, because I know we did mention potentially having the town of Franklin write a letter to the town of Bellingham acknowledging that we're not gonna make it a ball field, we're not gonna, it's just open walkable space per se, that's all. Okay, no, that's good. So, Conservation Commission, I wanna make sure Amy's been a huge part of this project, so I wanna make sure I get her feedback as well as Beth too, just on the last few items as well. So it sounds like you're getting close. Does anybody else have any other comments? Mike, you're good with everything as of right now?
Yeah,
What's
contingent
on
on
the table?
any remaining beta comments.
Okay, and we won't even get into, Gary, we won't even get into, or Matt, we won't get into your report. I read it, Gary. We'll just wait for the responses on the next one. Hopefully they get all cleaned up, and then it'll pretty much be a clean slate at that point, okay? So.
Thank you.
Let's, you said you have a meeting on the 4th?
Yeah,
Concom?
going off memory, but I'm pretty sure
The
Concom
4th?
got extended to the
Okay.
4th.
So, Mr. Chair, the one issue that I did want to raise, and this is just procedural and timing, the way we did the north before is we wanted to get through conservation.
First, we did.
We got
that's
through
correct.
first, we got their approval, and then we.
That's, we're gonna do that anyways.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so the last we were before conservation, the issues that they're waiting for approval on
Yep.
are the ones that are before this board, which is the fire department sign off
Correct.
and the beta letter.
That's correct. Yep.
So, do we wanna push this off till the 22nd, so everything's cleaned up? Cause the 4th and the 8th are pretty close, you may not have enough.
So,
Or do you wanna do another quick recap on the general
Yeah.
business on the 8th, and then we can fine tune it right thereafter,
I
if
think we're
need
gonna be
be?
ready, I think we're gonna be ready for the 8th, Mr. Chair.
Cause like I said, I wanna make sure Amy sees it
Yeah,
one
I
time, I wanna
understood.
make sure Beth sees it.
If it's possible to extend this just to the 8th, and then if for some reason we can't get a clean letter from the fire chief,
Yep.
I'll do like what I've done in the past. I could reach out to Amy and just ask for a continuation till.
Sure.
We don't want to take up anybody's time if we're not ready, so.
No, we
but
just wanna make
we do
sure.
believe, we think we should be in good shape for
Okay.
the CONSCOM meeting, and then we'll be back here a
Okay.
couple days later.
So we'll make a motion to continue Maplegate Solar South till the 8th of April. Do I hear a second?
Mr. Chairman, sorry, real quick. I know that we've just kind of wrapped up the conversation around parcel 2, and it seeming to be not able to move forward. Is there any language or is there any discussion around a covenant restricting any development whatsoever moving forward, that it maintains open space in perpetuity? Or is that just kind of,
We're amenable to that condition.
I think that would be a safeguard. I think that I would like to see.
Well, any kind of site plan modification for something like that, they'd have to come back to us anyway, so.
Yeah, but then we don't have to waste our time and tell them no.
Yeah. I'm fine by that too.
That was our promise, and
Yeah.
that's something we can control, and we're standing by it.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
And on their behalf, they're trying to work with the town to give us the access to that parcel too. So
Yeah,
that's why I wanna
100%.
make sure
Yep.
we're not making the road a little bumpy road for that specific reason as well.
Oh,
Because
see it.
the town of Franklin potentially can use part of that parcel.
Right.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay?
Great.
So,
But my last, like, really minor thing to the chairs. I thought, maybe I'm just misremembering, but the decommissioning estimate escalation is 2.5%. Didn't we talk about that increasing?
The 3, but it might have been the other
That was
project.
the other project, but you're right.
So
I agree.
I think
I did
that right
look
now
at
there's
that.
2.5% inflation, which is just completely unrealistic, just in any industry, and it's really way low. I would like to see that increase.
No, but
Upper
it was,
Union.
it was
Upper
the other
Union.
project, it was upper.
It was north
It was
or
Upper
upper
Union.
Union?
Upper
Yeah.
Union.
Yeah,
There,
are you
Summer
amenable to
Street?
go to 4?
No,
4%?
escalation,
We
per
will-
num.
Just
We'll-
because
we'll
2.5
take that
doesn't
back to
even
our
meet
applicant.
inflation. Okay.
I'm sure they will, but let me confirm with them
Okay.
first.
Yep.
Yeah,
We've been noticing the escalation,
it's going up, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
just like you go buy a gallon of gas. Keeps going up.
absolutely.
Great
We
call,
gotta
Jen.
make sure we protect everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
So if you can
Thanks.
check that,
Mhm.
that'd be great, and we'll go from there. We'll see you back on the 8th.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We got a vote. We got a vote.
Oh, yeah, vote to
Oh, I
extend.
thought we did,
I
okay.
may interrupt you rudely.
Oh, okay. So make a motion to
Brutal.
continue Maplegate Solar South till April 8th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any general business, any comments, questions?
We had a master plan committee open house on Saturday,
Yeah.
which none of you came to, I'll get over it, but,
Hey, I had to work, so
I was playing
sorry.
laser tag.
it was accessible, could've came a little later.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's going well, so that kind of wraps up the, engagement and initial, findings or assessment piece of it, and we'll be going into recommendations, and that's all supposed to wrap up by September, but we'll continue to keep you posted. I'm just putting on my Amy hat, and I guess Brian hat, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. But that's sort of ongoing, outside of this room, that's planning board related, so.
Okay, good.
And also, the REI was issued, right, for Davis Thayer.
Oh, the letter, the
Yeah.
RFP for
Yeah.
letters of,
I think
Letters of
we're
interest.
still
Yep.
still waiting for our next
Yeah.
meeting on that.
It's open for a few more weeks, I
Yeah.
think.
I think so.
Couple more weeks,
Yeah.
And I just have one quick note, for everybody who's out there watching or listening, getting a lot of emails and comments and questions about 40Bs. I just wanna let everybody know that the 40Bs do fall under the jurisdiction of the zoning board of appeals. I've been getting emails, I'm just forwarding it to Amy for record, going back to zoning board of appeals, but if anybody has any comments or questions in reference to a 40B, I would recommend just, notifying zoning board and the
Town council.
secretary and, well, zoning board of appeals first, yeah. And then they can take it from there. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understands that it's their jurisdiction, it's not ours. That's all. I'm just forwarding them along to everybody, okay? So I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Brian. Maxine.
Guys.
Enjoy
care.
the night.
Stay easy, Mark.
Chris.